Hello all, welcome to Selenium Python Training Series. In this session, as part of utilities, I am going to explain and practically demonstrate how to create utilities in real-time project. So let's get started. In real-time projects, we don't do whatever we have done in the previous sessions. Okay, in the previous sessions, we have understood how to generate the logs and how to read configurations from the configuration files, how to read data from the Excel files, how to write data into Excel files, only in the logic perspective. So this kind of logic, whatever we have learned so far in these previous sessions, we generally use them in real-time projects in the form of utilities. Okay. So how to use them as utilities, that is nothing but we'll create some reusable methods under these utilities and call these reusable methods for generating the logs, call these reusable methods for reading configuration from configuration files, call these reusable methods for reading data from the Excel files, call these reusable methods for writing data into the Excel files. So in this session, I'm going to practically demonstrate how to use this logic for creating the utility methods in the real-time projects. Okay, in real time, we create the utility methods and call them whenever that is needed rather than writing the code that I covered in the previous sessions. Okay, so that code will be helpful for us in creating that reusable methods anyhow. So whatever the knowledge we have gained here so far in the previous sessions will be helpful here for creating the utility methods in the utilities, okay, of the real-time projects. So let's get started with the practical demonstration. For that, I'll open this PyCharm ID. I'll create a new project here, a fresh new project. I'll just name this project as utilities demo and click on create. I'll simply say this window, utilities demo project is getting created. All the utilities for the so far explained logic for generating the logs, reading from configuration and Excel files and writing in Excel files will be covered here. This main.python file got created. I'll just clear that code out. And after that, here under this utilities demo, there is a project name. I'll right click and create a directory known as utilities directory. Just name this as utilities. You can name anything, but I just people prefer giving it as utilities as a name for this folder. Under this utilities, first let's create a new Python file. So this I'll name as generating logs. Okay, generating logs Python file. Under this generating logs, you can give any name. Okay, under this generating logs Python file, I'll create a utility method for generating the logs. Whenever you call the method, the log will be generated. Okay? Such kind of reusable method I'm going to create under this Python file. Let me create that. So how to generate the logs and all. So first create some reusable method here. Test generate. You can give any name. I'm just giving generate logs and put a colon here. Under this, you remember from the previous sessions, right? How to generate the logs in Selenium Python. Okay. So here is the code. So just copy paste the code. You don't have to remember this code. Just copy paste this code. Whatever the code we have written. Okay. Whatever you see over the mouse on this login and import this from login. Okay. Done. That is done. After that, if you want to give the name for this log file, you can give instead of example. If you want to give something, you can give, let's say, tutorials ninja logs. Okay, log. So then logging info. All this I covered in the previous session. You already know why we are writing this code here. And the next line is we have to write return logging dot get logger. Okay, return login dot get logger. So when you call this generate logs, it will log in the based on the settings and it will return you that logger. And using that logger, you can write the logs wherever you want in the code. For example, I'll go to this. Already I created this Python file having this reusable utility method, right? Under the utilities folder, I created this. Now I'll go to the Python file and let's say here I'm writing some code like for some any Python code. Let's say for I in range of 1,6 and that means 1,6 means up to 5. So here I will say print of I. So this is some sample code. Before this code starts, I want to write some log saying I want to write some log into this log file saying execution started, Python code execution started. After the end of the program, I would like to write a log saying program execution completed, Python code execution completed. Like that, I would like to generate. For that, what I have to do? For that simple, already you have created this utility method for generating the logs under this generate logs Python file under the utilities folder, right? How to get that simply? take the name of the Python file under which the utility method is generate logs. You mentioned, say dot, over the mouse on this and import this from utilities package, utilities folder, utilities dot. From the utilities, you are importing the generate logs Python file dot. Now you'll get this utility method that you have created, generate logs. When you simply say generate logs, what will happen? So you're calling this function means it is going to get you the logger. Now I'll store that here. Logger is equal to, okay. Now logger dot, I'll say info, and now write some log text that you want to get written in the log file. Python code execution started. And again, the same logger you will use here. Anywhere you can use. Python code execution ended. Let's say you want to, here also in the for loop, you want to generate some logs. So logger dot info. I just want to log this value of I, that is 1 to 5. Okay. So in the logs 1 to 5 also will be logged. You can say the current value of I is comma. This I will be integer, right? So comma will be fine. That's enough. Comma will work fine. Or you can simply say plus and say str of I. Anything is fine. Okay. Any format you can take, that is going to work. Now run this and see whether these logs are, whatever the log info logs I'm creating here are getting generated into the log file. And the log file also should get created automatically. Now let's run this code in the main.py file using this utility method for generating the logs in this Python file. This code should run and the logs should be generated in the to be created log file. Run this. You see tutorials ninja.log file got created and output got printed here. But let's open this log file and see all the logs got created. Python code execution started log with the timestamp, AM, PM kind of stuff, and the level, log level, everything came. Current value of I is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Python code execution ended. You see, this is how we can generate the logs with the help of this utility method. One of the utility method. This is not only the utility method that we are going to create under utilities folder of this project. Rather, we are going to create some other utilities for reading the configuration from configuration file and all those stuff. Okay. Now clear this code from main.py and let's experiment this for other utilities. So I cleared it out. And what I'm going to do here is under this project, I'm going to create a file known as config.ini file. Okay. For reading the configurations, okay. For reading from configuration files, we are doing that. Here I'll say basic info. Under the basic info, I'll give URL is equal to, I'll give the URL of the application. Let's say this is a URL. Already I covered and explained this thing for you. And just converting them into utility methods are the only concept in this session. URL browser is equal to, I'll say Chrome, let's say. Okay. These are the details I have given. Now go to the main.py file. And here, before doing anything, I have to create some utilities. Okay. I'll simply name that as Python file and I'll just name that as reading configurations. Okay. The name of the Python file is read configurations or reading configurations or whatever. Okay. Read configurations. I press enter. So under this, I'll create some utility methods. That is def read configuration like this. And here I need to write some code for reading the configuration from the configuration files. For that, you remember, right? Config parser. Hold the mouse on this config parser and import this config parser. And I'll simply say config is equal to config parser. Now using this config parser, I'll say config.read from which configuration file we have to read the configuration, this config.ini file, which is directly created under the project. I'll directly give config.ini file. This is a path of the config.ini file. After reading, what we have to do? We have to get it, right? Config.get of which configuration? The configuration which is available at this particular category, that is basic info category, and with this key. So here, basic info we have to pass, comma, key. What is the key? Key is nothing but, let's say I want browser. browser configuration I want to retrieve. From the basic info category here, I want to retrieve browser value. But we should not be passing this data. We should not hardcode this data. Rather, we have to say here, first parameter as category, and next one as key. Here, category, instead of hardcoding, we are passing the values. While calling this utility method, we will pass the category and the key. This is going to get returned. We are going to return the configuration, which is under this category and with the key name. Okay, the value of that particular key. Now this is a utility method for reading from configuration files. Okay. Now let's go to the main.py file and let's use that utility method for reading from the configuration file, config.ini file. So for that, read configurations dot for the mouse on read configurations and import it from utilities folder and say dot read configuration. Which configuration, under which category and key I have to give. Let's say the category is basic info category we have to pass while calling this utility method, and the key is browser. Okay, key is browser. Let's say if I print it out, it will give you the browser name anyhow. If I print it out, this part, you will get the browser name printed in the output console. Okay, it will read the configurations from using the browser name came. Similarly, there is one more configuration, right? In the configuration file, configurations dot read configuration of under the same basic info, we have something like URL. Let's retrieve the URL now, and let you can say you retrieved URL. You can say retrieved URL. You can store and you can print. This is another way of printing. Print of retrieved URL. Now run this code. It will print the URL. Okay. These details are coming from which file? Config.ini file. Okay. So this is a utility method we have created. We have to call this utility method by calling this by passing this category and key, and it will return you the value of that particular key under this category. So far we have created two utility methods. Okay, one for generating the logs, another for retrieving the configurations from the configuration file. Okay. Now similarly, we are going to write the utility methods for performing operations on the Excel file. So let's get started. First, let's create a folder here, directory, and just name that as Excel files. Under this folder, have this folder available here. This is the Excel file created here with the name tutorials.xlsx file. Okay, and it has login text as a sheet name. Under that sheet name, we have this username, password, and these are the existing set of data we have. Okay, username, password, username, password, username, password, like that. Now what I will do is I'll close this and copy this Excel file into the project. I want to work on this Excel file. So I'll take that Excel file and copy into the project. Now, in order to, deal with this Excel file, we need to create some utility methods here. For that, under this utilities folder, I'll create a Python file saying Excel reader as the name of the Python file. This Excel reader will contain the utility methods of performing different operations on the Excel file. One of the operation you can perform is, finding getting the count of rows. How many rows are there? Okay. So for that, get row count. Okay, one reusable method we are creating. So here you have to write down. You see, Excel reading is by default not possible in Python projects. So for that, we have to install one package, that is pip install open PyExcel and press enter. Open PyExcel and press enter. Open PyExcel will be installed. Let's wait. It's installing. Without this, we cannot deal with Excel files. Okay. After the installation is done, for double check, select the project, select file settings, select this project, go to the Python interpreter, then click on place and type open PyExcel and select this and press install package and select install package. So double check, this will be enough. From terminal installation is enough, but double checking, I'm installing from here also. Say okay, that's it. Now we have that open PyExcel installed. So what I will do now is I'll just write open PyExcel. I'm using the library of the open PyExcel and simply say dot here load workbook. Okay, load workbook. And in the load workbook, what do you have to give? We have to give the path of the Excel file. Okay, here you have to give instead of giving the path here, I'll pass the path here while calling this reusable method, utility method, right? I'll pass the path. That path I'll pass it here. It will return you the workbook is equal to, okay. Now I'll say workbook of the square bracket. I have to give the, it's a test login. Sheet name I have to give, but this should not be hard coded. Rather, I'll say comma, okay, sheet underscore name. I'll pass, and the same sheet name I'll paste it here. Instead of hard coding here, I'll paste it here. It will return you the sheet. Sheet is equal to. Now, what I will do here, I'll simply say sheet dot uh, max underscore row. Okay, return it out. Return it. Okay, this will give you the number of rows in that particular sheet of that particular workbook. So there is one utility method we have created. Now, similarly, we can create other utility methods. Copy this and get column count you mentioned. Here also you have to pass the path and sheet name, path, sheet name. And here instead of dot return dot sheet dot max row, you are returning max dot column. It will return you the number of columns in that particular sheet of that workbook. So this is also done. Let's create one more reusable utility method here. That is get get cell data. Get cell data. Okay. So here for getting the cell data, path sheet are required, and apart from that, what else is required? I have to write sheet dot cell of. So here we can say we have to give the row number and column number. So that is a row number, row underscore number, comma column underscore number from which I would like to retrieve the data from. Okay, get the data from. So here I can say row is equal to like that. Row is equal to row number, comma column is equal to column number, and this row and column are optional. You can directly mention the row number and column number also. So dot value you have to say, otherwise cell will be returned. Okay, cell ID will be returned. If you say dot value, the value of that particular cell will be returned. Okay, value in that particular cell will be returned. So whenever you call this, based on the given path, sheet name, row number, column number, the data will be retrieved. We can. This is one more utility method we have created so far, and the last one we'll create, that is def set cell data. For writing the data into the Excel file, these four things are required again: path, sheet number, row number, and column number into which we have to write the data, and which data we have to write. That is extra. Okay. Now copy this code and write down here. Workbook sheet name is everything is fine. Now here write down sheet dot cell of row is equal to row number, column is equal to column number, dot value is equal to data you mentioned. Okay. This particular data you are passing here, but writing into the Excel file. And after that, you have to write workbook dot save of path. Without this, this return data will not be saved into the Excel file. Okay, like this. Like this, some utility methods have created for dealing with the Excel file, for operating on the Excel file. Different utility methods we have created. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the main.py file, and here I'll write down Excel reader dot. Okay, Excel reader. Over the mouse on Excel reader, import this from utilities folder and simply write down whatever you want to do. For example, I want to get the row count first. Okay, get row count. For getting row count, I have to pass path and sheet name. What is the path? The path is this particular Excel file is under the Excel files folder. Under the Excel files folder, we have tutorials ninja.xlsx and comma. We have to give the sheet name. What is the sheet name we have to give? What is the sheet name? Sheet name is login test is the sheet name, like this. Now it will return you the row count and you can print it out. Okay, just surround this with print or store into a variable and print whatever the way you want. That's it. Now let's run this and see whether it is working fine or not. It should print 4. Okay, 4 rows are there. So we got the number of rows 4 in this Excel sheet has 4 rows. So it has printed properly. Now print off Excel reader dot get another utility method, that is column count. Here also you need to pass these two things, like the path and the. So when you hover, you can say that path and sheet name we have to pass. 2 should be printed in the output. Two columns are there, so 2 should be printed. Okay, that's also fine. Now the next one is Excel reader dot get cell data. For that, have to pass path, sheet name, row number, column number. Okay. So these two things are same. After that, I have to pass from which row number and which column number I want to read the data. For example, from the second row and first column, I want to get the data. So print it out. It will print you that the cell data which is available at the second row and first column in that particular Excel file. You see, the data from that particular row and column got printed. Okay. Now, similarly, print off, not print, no need to print. We have to write back. Okay. For example, before writing, if I open this Excel file, not this one, let me open from the project itself, right click, open in Explorer. Let me open that Excel file that is there in the project. So it has this much of data, but I would like to add one data here. Okay. Let's say role I want to type role. Okay. That's what I want to do. So how to do that? I'll just don't save that, whatever. To get the row entered into that particular cell, there is a first row, third column, right? How to do that? For that, I'll write Excel reader. No need to print this. Set cell data. And what I have to pass here, path, sheet name, row number, column number. So till here you can copy. Last one, which data you want to enter? Excel login test. In that first row, third column, I want to enter which data? I would like to enter role data. Okay, like this. Now run this and observe that. Run this. After running, you will see that. Go and open this Excel file after running. And you'll get the extra column now. That is extra column, okay, which got entered or got written into the Excel file. So this is how we have to create the utilities in the projects. Okay, in real time during Selenium Python automation, we are going to create this kind of utilities folder. Under the different utilities, utility reusable methods, we are going to create for each and everything. For reading, for generating the logs, we'll create some utility methods. For reading configuration from the configuration file, we'll create some utility methods. For reading the handling the Excel files, we'll create some utility methods. And these utilities we are going to use in the projects later. Okay, the real-time Selenium projects. So hope guys you understood how to create utilities for real-time projects in this session in a practical way. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye.